Hello, everybody. I'm Jesse Pollak, the creator of Base. Today, I'm joined by Max Brandsburg, who leads all the consumer and business teams at Coinbase, and Brian Armstrong, co-founder and CEO of Coinbase, to talk about the new DEX trading experience built natively into the Coinbase app, launching on Base starting today. Max, I want to turn it over to you just to say hi and tell us what's launching before we pass it over to Brian.
Yeah, super excited to talk about our native DEX feature today. So we recently started rolling out native DEX trading inside the Coinbase app. This is a feature that enables Coinbase users to access and trade every asset that's available on Base. Now, if there's an asset on Base, it's available in the Coinbase app by default. Super exciting, very easy to use. It feels exactly like any other asset inside the Coinbase app. You can trade it directly from your main balances inside that app, and it feels like buying and selling Bitcoin. But there's a lot of complexity under the hood, which we'll get into. We'll talk more about how we put it all together and made it work. Just started rolling out. About 5% of users now have access in the US, excluding New York, and we'll continue expanding from there. So super excited about this feature.
And Brian, from your perspective, what's going on with the DEX trading?
Yeah, well, people think of Coinbase as a centralized exchange sometimes, or a custodial app, but even going back to the founding of Coinbase, I mean, we knew that this was going to be the first step. We needed to get meet people where they were, help them get their first bit of crypto. And a lot of the early tools weren't quite ready yet. But as far back as 2016, actually, we started working on our first self-custodial wallet with DEX trading and dApps. We kind of knew that the early use case would be getting people a little bit of crypto in a centralized world, and it would eventually move into the decentralized world. And that's where you get this real explosion of crypto to crypto activity that could really be more fair and free and global and unlock the potential of crypto. So, we're now making steady progress with that, getting DEX trading integrated, not just in our self-custodial wallet, but right into the main Coinbase app is a huge unlock. It means our customers are going to get access to millions of assets over time. It means they'll be able to get early access to these assets. So within seconds of these assets coming into existence, they'll be available to trade. And for builders and asset issuers, entrepreneurs, it means they can launch their token and have access to millions of Coinbase customers. They don't have to wait for the traditional listing process. So we think that this is foundational to just bringing the world on chain, and it's the next step in our vision in our mission of increasing economic freedom.
And we're already seeing the growth on the builder side, where there's just so much energy of, oh my God, the thing that I'm doing can get so much more reach now as a result of bringing these customers to this open ecosystem. Brian, I want to just dig a little bit on the why now. Because we've been building for a while. Coinbase has been around for 13 years now. What's driving the decision to do this now in the primary custodial product?
Yeah, I think we finally felt like the technology was ready, right? We've been trying to build towards this moment along with the rest of the whole industry really over the last 5-10 years. And a lot of the pieces had to come into place, right? So we needed the blockchains to be more scalable with layer 2. We're seeing that now with Base. We needed the identity layer to get created, right, with ENS, so that people could send to a human readable name instead of a machine readable name. We needed a lot of the tooling around smart contracts to get better for developers, and a whole ecosystem is built up around that with many open source developers and companies contributing to it. And we even needed to see, I think, some of these protocols get created around decentralized social, for instance, with content coins, which created an explosion of new assets. I think there was an early iteration of this with meme coins, and we're seeing a lot of people shift to content coins now, which I think have more substance to it underneath and is exciting. And then we needed the regulatory environment to update as well. And so we're now seeing a much more permissive and friendly legislation getting created in the US and these other major markets, where we think it's actually feasible now to get, let's say, securities on chain or prediction markets or reinvent all kind of capital formation for crypto securities, right? So all these pieces had to come together, and we think that it's finally ready. A lot of hard work by not just Coinbase, but the entire crypto ecosystem has come together to make this possible. And so our goal is to try to make everything trusted and easy to use in crypto. We now can combine these Lego pieces, hopefully, into a simple interface that can, like, anybody can use. You don't have to have a computer science degree or understand even exactly what's happening underneath. But we want to make sure we're building that kind of experience that can bring 1 billion people on chain.
And it's really incredible, just like the way these things are starting to intersect. You know, I was looking at someone on Twitter the other day who launched a creator coin for themselves, posted some pieces of content, and then immediately show up on Coinbase. And all of that happened in a matter of minutes. And that sort of interconnectivity of now the exchange that everyone in the United States and globally has seen as the most trusted is fully plugged in to all of these new assets across memes, across content, across creators, across DeFi, across protocols, out of the box and instantly. It's a huge unlock. And Max, I want to hear a little bit about how you think about that kind of complementing our traditional centralized exchange offering. How are traders going to benefit from this compared to just directly going and using a DEX, which they've been doing for a little while?
Yeah, I think one of the pain points in the current ecosystem is the need to move money around to different places and figure out where you can access different things. It's very fragmented today. People use Coinbase for certain things. They then send to a wallet for other things. Maybe there's different wallets across different chains, different DEXs that have different features. And the overhead of doing that is quite burdensome. It really limits what normal kind of mass market people can access and can do. And as a result, it limits how many people builders can reach. And even with all of that friction, there's still been tremendous progress. I mean, we see DEX trading volumes, for example, are now more than 20% of total spot trading volumes in the ecosystem, growing dramatically over time, already eating into the share of centralized exchanges, which just shows how much power there is in open permissionless exchanges, but it's still very painful. And so bringing these things together into one place so that you don't have to guess where the assets are or move your funds around just makes it so much more accessible. It lowers those barriers to entry, makes it easier for people to trade. You can trade across centralized exchange assets and decentralized exchange assets. You don't have to worry about what's happening under the hood. So we think that's going to make it a lot more valuable and accessible for normal users. And as a result, it should spin this flywheel where more builders are building because they can access those users. It reminds me a little bit of the aha moment with YouTube in the early days. You could create a video and suddenly that video was indexed instantly and available to millions of people around the world. And at first it was like one video of a guy in a zoo, but it developed and it spun. And now like the most valuable content in the world is being created and distributed through that platform. And I think that's what we're going to see with assets on chain, where now suddenly you create an asset and it is available instantly to millions of people around the world. And I think that's going to drive more building, more distribution, and hopefully better outcomes for the whole ecosystem.
100%. And one thing I want to get your take on is, I feel like Coinbase has been the leader in bringing its business on chain. We'll talk about the Borrow product for Bitcoin that you launched earlier this year. That's all powered by smart wallets, USDC, now DEX trading. Do you think we're going to be alone in making this transition, or do you think other people are going to follow?
I think this is absolutely going to be an industry-wide shift. I mean, I think that this is where the value is being created. This is why I think this industry has developed, really, is to make open, permissionless financial services more accessible to more people, empower individuals, empower builders. So I think this will hopefully be a landmark moment for the whole industry to really embrace and drive. I think we have been thinking about this for a really long time, and it's really hard to do well. So the team has built some incredible technology to make this possible, and I think others will embrace it, and we'll see. I think we'll see builders finding more access to users across a lot of different platforms. So happy to be leading the way there.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's important for us to know that this is a flywheel. And so Coinbase is going to bring more distribution to builders, but the next thing that's going to enable is more things that look like Coinbase coming and actually bringing that same distribution. And the faster we can get more builders and more consumers who are interacting in this open marketplace, the faster we're going to be able to actually grow this global economy. Brian, I want to get your take on that, because you've seen the last decade plus of kind of trends and how quickly people have been adopting crypto and on-chain. How do you see this moment and kind of this rollout of DEX affecting that adoption curve? Like, how do you think it's going to change the inflection?
Yeah, well, like Max was saying, it's removing barriers to entry and it's democratizing access, right? And so I do think that decentralized exchanges and integrating this in a seamless, trusted way, it's going to be like jet fuel just thrown on-chain adoption. I'll give you a couple examples. I mean, if we want to, let's say, reinvent how capital formation works and make it more efficient, so anybody in the world can raise money for their startup idea. You don't have to live in Silicon Valley and go walk around Sand Hill Road, right? You could be in Bangalore or anywhere and have access to an on-chain capital market for people. The best ideas can rise to the top, right? Well, we need decentralized exchanges to create liquidity for that, right? If we want to have faster and cheaper, more global payments, well, what if the sender and the recipient, what if they want to pay with one currency and receive a different currency? That's called an FX transaction, right? With stable coins or something, another asset. So those are going to have to be seamless and probably happen on decentralized exchanges. And even if we want to reinvent social media, right, and how content creators and artists get paid, we're going to have a robust liquid market of every social media post being its own coin, every song on the next Spotify, every video on the next YouTube, every post on the next X platform. I mean, these are all going to have to be coins that create a market where the content creator can get paid. So that's going to need a decentralized exchange. So we think of, there's custody, there's exchange, trading, there's identity. There's a couple of these foundational pillars that are really just going to be underpinning all of the economy coming on chain eventually, or the vast majority of it, let's say. And that's what we're trying to do with this DEX integration, is push the frontier, make it seamless and easy to use, and it'll unlock lots of this new capability down the road.
And I'll just say that I'm seeing this acceleration happen in real time. I'm in Jackson Hole right now with a bunch of policymakers, senators and Congress people talking about how do we pass clarity? How do we kind of push American innovation forward with these new laws that we've been pushing for? And I just had the honor of, I got to do a live demo. And in that live demo, I pulled out the Coinbase app and I was able to swap euros to dollars. And it was all powered by Base. It was using EURC and USDC. And when I swapped 100 euros, I got $117. And then I went into a traditional Web 2 platform, Revolut, TransferWise, and I did the same swap. And I got 115. And so the margin that we're giving back to consumers, that 2%, that is the benefit and the value of this decentralized economy that we're building. And the work that Max and team and you and this DEX integration are doing is it's putting the rails in place, where now every new use case that looks like that is instantly going to work out of the box because it's built into the easiest, most trusted consumer experience. Brian, I know that you have to run. Thank you so much for jumping in. Me and Max are going to keep diving in. But last thing I want to say for you is I just don't think we would be here without your leadership. Having a CEO and founder who so deeply believes in crypto and decentralization and the open global economy, I think has been the jet fuel that's enabled us to start to make this transition for Coinbase coming on chain. And so thanks for making the time. Thanks for leading us onto this forefront, and excited to keep building with you.
Yeah, well, you got my 100% support. You guys are doing all the hard work along with the rest of the crypto industry. And I promise we did not coordinate the black t-shirts today. It just happened accidentally. But anyway, I'll let you guys continue the conversation. I'll see y'all soon.
Awesome. Thanks, Brian. Max, excited to keep digging in with you. And for maybe those who don't know, Max and I have been building for a long time together. We started building on the Coinbase consumer product in 2018, 2019, when he was head of product and I was head of engineering. We were partners for a long time. We did that for 4 years, 3-4 years. And then I stepped back and built Base, started building Base. And I think one of the greatest joys of the last 2.5 years, 3 years of building Base is us getting to kind of continue to build that partnership and getting to continue to collaborate, to figure out how do we be at this vanguard of bringing the company on chain and kind of paving the way for businesses all around the world to follow us. So that's a little Max and Jesse story. Max, I want to ask a little bit about your perspective on Base. Obviously, this is a huge unlock for the Base ecosystem. because there's now all of these new audiences who can come in and start participating in that economy. How do you see it amplifying base projects? And do you think this is going to incentivize even more growth, even more builders to come in?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen some really good progress so far with our borrow product, actually, that we launched earlier this year, where similar to this DEX trading product, it's as simple as the core Coinbase app. You can go into the Coinbase app, you can borrow USDC against your Bitcoin. It is powered under the hood by smart contract wallets, by Morpho, by USDC, all on Base. And with that product, we actually just passed over $800 million of loans originated in about 6 months since we launched that product. We've barely even started really pushing adoption of that product, and it speaks to the power of plugging in what base builders are doing to the distribution, the user base of Coinbase. And so with that, we've seen, to the question about what's the impact on base builders, we've seen that spin a flywheel of liquidity for Morpho itself. And Morpho has continued to grow and expand with that liquidity across the Coinbase user base and other users across the overall ecosystem. So I think we're going to see more of that. The strategy, and this is part of the beauty of having worked with you, Jesse, for so long, is this is very much a long-term thinking. I mean, this is not about a short-term win. And the strategy here is about spinning that flywheel, where we know it's not necessarily going to be better than centralized exchange experiences on day one. There's work to be done there. But as we start pointing that liquidity at decentralized exchanges, as we start encouraging more builders to build on Base to distribute to Coinbase users, it will get better. And I think you asked earlier about the relation between the centralized exchange and the decentralized exchange. I envision a world where volume continues to shift to decentralized exchanges. And that is abstracted away from our end users on the Coinbase app. They won't need to know it, but the liquidity will be just as good or better. The access will be just as good or better. The pricing will be just as good or better. And it's global and it's for everyone. So that's the vision. I think it will continue to help base builders. But Jesse, you tell me, I mean, you're talking to base builders every day. What do you see? What do you see as the impact? And do you think that it will drive more building, more energy into Base in order to access the sort of the Coinbase distribution?
100%. And we're already seeing it. I mean, even at these really low rollouts, Aerodrome had its highest volume days in 6-7 months. This creator coin kind of emergent stuff that's happening on Zora, where creators are creating coins and those coins are being paired with all of their content. That's starting to see really big inflows. And I feel like we're starting to see almost a perfect storm where we've had all of this supply side innovation happening from Aerodrome to Zora to the prediction markets to the trading tools, but we've still been kind of waiting for the demand side. And now Coinbase is bringing more of that demand side. And I think that's going to bring more innovation on the supply side, which will then bring more demand, which will just spin this flywheel faster and faster. And really our thesis is the way we build a global economy, the way we bring 1 billion people, $1 trillion of assets, 1 million builders on chain, is by figuring out what are the key inputs that we need to put into that flywheel to make it spin faster and faster. Because it's going to take all of us. It's going to take all of us working together to make it so that the entire world comes on chain. And one of the things that I really loved about what you said was that it's not going to happen overnight. It's still day one. And I know that the infrastructure that you guys use to power the DEX trading experience is the same infrastructure as the one you use to power the smart wallet. And it's kind of this generalized tooling that y'all have built to power the DeFi mullet that lets the front end be Coinbase, but the back end be all of these incredible builders and liquidity and contracts that are running on Base. Can you just talk to me a little bit about what's that journey been like? I know it hasn't been overnight. It's not like you woke up earlier this year and were like, we're going to enable DEX trading. You guys have been working at this for a long time. How has that played out? And what kind of conviction has that taken to actually do the work over the long term to make it happen?
Yeah, this has probably been at least a 2-year journey, maybe longer. And I would say one of the starting points in the journey was actually building Base. We even when you and I, Jesse, were building Coinbase together 6 years ago, we said we need to bring Coinbase on chain, but it wasn't ready. The technology wasn't ready.
We didn't know how. We didn't have the tools to do it.
We didn't have the tools to do it. And so a lot of the tools you and the base community have built, a lot of the tools that were necessary to get there. And what we started doing a couple years ago within the Coinbase team was figuring out how to put those tools together in a way that could abstract all the complexity away from our end users and get the benefits of Coinbase with the benefits of all of these on-chain decentralized tools. So what you get as a result of that is, the high quality fiat on-ramps into your Coinbase app, the security and the ability to store fiat assets and USDC that you're earning 4.5% yield on, and to stake assets and to trade on the centralized exchange while also seamlessly trading assets on a decentralized exchange. And that is done through a number of different pieces of technology that we've put together. A couple of things that really stand out to me are the orchestration across our custodial and the self-custodial wallets that enable usage of these decentralized exchanges. So you don't need to move assets into a self-custodial wallet first. You just trade out of whatever assets you have on the platform. It's one pool. People don't want to think about moving between different wallets. That's been one huge piece of effort. And because we have multiple different on-chain use cases, the orchestration across the different wallets and the custodial wallets that maintains the security and trust is a huge piece of technology that enables this. Integration of existing on-chain tools like smart contract wallets and with Paymaster, abstracting away gas so people don't have to worry about gas tokens or anything like that has been a big enabler. USDC has been a big enabler because it is the water that runs through the pipes that just helps people sort of trade across any of these exchanges. So those have been just major investments, and we've leveraged a lot of what you and the whole community has built to make it possible.
Yeah, it's incredible. And one thing that I could imagine someone sitting here and watching, they're listening to you and they're saying smart wallets. Oh, wow, this seems like a lot of complexity. But I know that we previously built a centralized borrow product, right? Like we had a similar version of this product that wasn't built on chain. And then we had to kind of wind that down. And then, just in this last year, we stood up this new on-chain borrow product. Talk to me a little bit about, like, you saw both of those, you built both of those. What's the experience been like seeing it rebuilt on chain, and like, how is it compared?
Yeah, I would say for the builders out there, I think the centralized approach to a borrow product is like your absolute worst nightmare. I mean, it's incredibly complicated, bespoke. It's sort of feels like it was built 100 years ago. And when you can build a decentralized product like that, the decentralized borrow product that we built, it's composable, it's made for builders, it's scalable, it's open. It has all the benefits that you want as a builder. And so it's been a real joy building that product. We've still had to build a lot of the complexity around the orchestration and abstracting some of that from users. But what it's enabled us to do is, one, build a highly scalable and just excellent product. Two is tap into Morpho, utilize third parties, the great builders in the ecosystem, where there's essentially infinite scalability of assets, and with that, facilitate this global borrowing and lending ecosystem so that more assets will come in. Whereas in a centralized system, you're relying on what you can do alone, and that was always going to have a sort of natural limit to what was possible. So that learning from the borrow product is a lot of what fueled this move to the DEX product, and will fuel future products that continue to integrate on-chain protocols. And so if you're a builder out there thinking about, what's the next protocol, how do you build in a way that can distribute, you should think about Coinbase as an open platform that will distribute whatever the most valuable protocols are, because we want to get our users access to what you're building. You want to be able to reach those users. So you can see the trend, borrow, DEX, keep imagining the future and what's possible, and we will find ways to distribute that.
Yeah, and I will say that watching you guys build the borrow product was kind of like a blue pill for me, where of course I've always believed in Base. But when you're building kind of that orchestration layer to sit in between, there's a part of you that's like, ooh, like it's a lot. Like, is it going to work? And then we launched the borrow product, and it's like went off to the races, and $800 million of originations. But I think the even crazier thing that blue pilled me even more was comparing that side by side with the old borrow product and being like, holy crap, it's 10 times cheaper and easier for us to run. And then looking at how quickly you guys were able to get the DEX product out to market, because the platform that you built for the borrow product was a generic platform that let you connect to on-chain. And now it's like an assembly line almost, where it's like, okay, you got an on-chain wallet in there, we got borrow, we got DEX. How many other things can we roll out that use this open platform and use the community, use the protocols to make the lives of Coinbase customers better? And I think seeing that, my takeaway was like, oh my God, it's coming for everything. Like the whole world is going to go blue because it's literally easier, it's better, it's faster, it's cheaper, it's more global.
And one of the things I'm excited about is it's composable in ways that are somewhat unpredictable. I mean, I don't think that we know today yet exactly what that feature set will look like in 2 years, because these things will work together in really interesting ways. So you can imagine today you can borrow against your Bitcoin, but why not be able to borrow against any asset that you can hold on Coinbase? And a week ago, any asset on Coinbase meant that there were 300 assets listed on the centralized exchange. Now that's millions of assets that you can access on chain. So suddenly these two products are working together, where you can borrow against all the assets that you can trade on chain. Imagine being able to borrow, then being able to lend, then being able to trade those assets. I think the composability of this space is going to enable really unique products also. And that's something that we'll be looking hopefully to builders in the Base ecosystem to continue to develop so that we can distribute those to our users.
100%. And that kind of unknown unknowns to the upside is one of the things that gets me most excited, because it really is a new platform and it's going to unlock new capabilities that we can't even really imagine right now. One thing I want to just hit on as we're getting to the close is we've talked a lot about how this is going to accelerate Base. But I think one thing that's been important for Base and Coinbase is like we're a bridge, not an island. Base from the beginning has said we're going to be connected to the rest of the crypto economy. Coinbase has said the exact same thing. Talk to me a little bit about like DEX trading. It's starting out on Base. We're going to scale the crap out of that. What comes after that? How are we thinking about expansion?
Yeah, well, we have a lot of work to do to make DEX trading on Base excellent. And so teams are head down sprinting on that. We are going to expand to other networks though. And that is a really core part of making everything on chain available on Coinbase. So we will expand to Solana. We think that's an important trading ecosystem to bring into the same platform. We want to see builders across the whole ecosystem building new projects and finding the chain and the kind of the protocols that are right for them. And then we'll keep going and bring not just the simple trading experience, but we'll expand into the more advanced trading experience. Hopefully we can bring different trading products on top of that experience across both of these chains. And as there are more valuable protocols and trading across different chains, we'll continue to integrate those too. So we love starting with Base. We want to be an open platform that really supports builders across the entire ecosystem, and we're excited to keep pushing the limits there.
I'm so excited about where we're going. And I really do feel like it's a truism that we win together. Like there's less than 1% of the world on chain. And over the next decade, we're going to bring the whole world on chain. But the way we do that is by locking arms and saying, okay, we all benefit when new people get onboarded. And we all benefit when we have innovation and experimentation in different parts that we can all learn from. And so that ethos has been core to Coinbase from the beginning. And it's what informed our ethos on Base about being connected to everyone as well. Max, talk to me a little bit about where you think we're going. Where do you think we're going to be in a few years?
Well, I think from the Coinbase side, you can see the app is moving on chain, and all financial services are moving on chain. And so I think that we're going to have an entirely new kind of financial services platform that is powered entirely on chain, that gives users the most valuable financial services they've ever had. And as a result, I think it will become the leading financial services platform in the world, powered by on-chain protocols that are being built in the Base ecosystem and across the on-chain ecosystem. I think people are going to get access to services that they could not get otherwise, that will empower people around the world in places that maybe didn't have the sort of empowerment or access that they needed, that will create better livelihoods, more freedom, and prosperity around the world. So that's it's a small vision. We're just doing our small part to try to get there, but I'm really excited about where we're going.
Yeah, and I think the same. I think everything's going to come on chain over the next few years, and I think it's day one, right? Like this is kind of a new inflection point where there's a new massive audience coming on chain. And if you're a base builder out there, let me just say it clearly: like now is your moment. Go build. Go create a protocol that changes the world. Go launch a coin that can kind of capture the value of your creativity and help you earn it. Participate in these new social networks that are coming up. Like there's never been a better time because the demand is coming. The demand is starting to be here. And so we're so excited about that. We recently just hired a listings lead who's helping shepherd the whole base ecosystem across DEX and the centralized exchange. He's Shaw256 on Twitter, so reach out there. And we're just excited to kind of figure out how do we keep growing base with Coinbase, because at the end of the day, this flywheel is what's going to let us bring the entire world on chain. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Max, thank you for the whatever it's been 7-8 years of partnership, and really for like believing in this vision from the beginning and doing the 2 years of hard work behind the scenes to unlock this sort of product experience for your customers, but also the sort of growth that we're starting to see for builders. We really couldn't have been here without you. So thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Have a great day, everyone. Keep building. Stay